Fury Media presents Rumble vs. the Airwaves, a music, nostalgia, gaming, and culture podcast. I'm Tim, and here's Rumble.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rumble versus the Airwaves. On today's show, we're going to have Ray Hawthorne talking about his new EP, Heartbreak Feels Good in a Place Like This. We're going to talk about what's going on in pop culture that's got our attention. We're going to move over to the Discovery with Michigan-based emo band Motion Sick, and finally DIY or Die with our friend Will Birdwell about building a brand with your band. What's up, Tim?
What's going on, Rumble?
Not much. You just got back from vacation. How was that?
I did. It was cool. It was a nice change of pace, change of scenery, you know.
Hell yeah. So where'd you go?
I went up to Georgia, and I ended up going to a pinball museum. And at that pinball museum, they had a Kiss pinball machine from the 70s.
Rad.
It was really cool to play that. There were so many different pinball machines, but that got me to thinking, they don't really do that for like bands anymore.
Yeah, bands aren't as cool as they used to be, I guess.
Like I remember like Led Zeppelin definitely had a pinball machine, and a lot of other bands did.
I've seen Rolling Stones one. I've seen The Who before, I think, pinball machine.
Pretty sure there's a Michael Jackson one out there.
Oh, yeah, there's got to be.
Who would you like to see one from?
I think Mom Jeans would do a really funny pinball machine. They're usually pretty funny. That like a lot of emo bands have a good sense of humor that I think would apply well to pinball.
You know what would be a cool pinball machine? Slipknot. Because they could put all the characters and have stuff moving, and like the drum machine like moving as people are trying to hit the pinballs into the hole and start blocking it.
For sure. I wonder if Iron Maiden has one.
I feel like they do.
That has like all the different Eddies all over it, like the Trooper Eddie and everything.
I feel like that's a thing.
It's got to be, right?
It might not be.
I think it should be, in case they're listening.
What's going on with you, Rumble?
Not much. Just last night, I played this show with one of my bands, Send and Delete, in St. Pete at this place called The Nest, which is inside of St. Pete Brewing Co. Super cool place. Played with some friends, Wrath and the Wise Guys. We know those guys. They're cool. Met some new friends, too.
They have a new music video, too.
They do. That music video was sick. Definitely check that out. We played with this band touring from Tennessee called Rough Dreams, who we're actually going to interview, right?
Yeah.
That should be fun. I think that's going to be on the next episode.
The next Discovery, next episode.
Yeah. Outside of that, I've been watching a lot of Modern Family, which I'm like several years late to. I don't know why, but I was always kind of dismissive of it at first. But I saw some clips of it like a little bit ago, and I was like, you know what? It does kind of look funny. So I tried it, and I really like it. Now I'm stuck in a binge. And I'm kind of afraid that I am Phil Dunphy.
How far into the binge?
I'm about to hit season 6. Like just this morning, I'm nearing the end of season 5, and I started it like 2 weeks ago. It's been rough. Yeah, I think it's a great show. Have you seen it?
I have seen it here and there. It's not my cup of tea, but it seems like a solid show.
Yeah, there's a lot of newer sitcoms that I don't really care for, but this one, it was a pleasant surprise. All right, but enough about that. Let's talk to Ray Hawthorne about his new EP. All right, thanks for being on the show, Ray. How's it going today?
I'm doing great, man. It's exciting to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we got the new EP. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So it's called Heartbreak Feels Good in a Place Like This, which is a cheeky little reference to that Nicole Kidman ad before AMC movies. I don't know if you are familiar with that, but it's been going for the last couple years, and it's pretty ridiculous. But as far as the music on it, I think for me, I've spent a couple years just trying to really do, I don't know, like the music that I've always like really, really loved. Like when I was in high school and shit, like this is all the kind of stuff that I would listen to, you know? So for me, it was just exciting to try to go about making that for myself. And I would hope that I achieved that. So I'm excited that people are sort of into it. It's been fun for me.
Hell yeah. Well, me and Tim got the opportunity to listen to it, and it was awesome.
Good.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Really, really good. So let's talk about growing up. Where did you grow up, man?
So I'm from New Jersey originally.
New Jersey? Ooh, a lot.
Yeah.
I got a lot of favorite artists from New Jersey.
It is a great music scene. In New Jersey. Who do you like from Jersey?
My favorite band of all time is the Front Bottoms. I don't know if you're familiar. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Those are a couple of Jersey boys. I mean, Springsteen is an obvious one.
Oh yeah, Springsteen for sure.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith, but that's not music. I love Kevin Smith.
I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. Yeah. Absolute huge.
I think I just went over Rumble's head with that one.
Yeah. I'm a little young, so I don't get some of Tim's references.
I love Kevin Smith. I've got a couple autograph scripts from him that are like, I've got Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I've got Dogma.
That is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely love him. Absolutely love him. Yeah, Jersey's a good place. There's a lot of creative stuff there. I think it's born from just being shit on by the rest of the country. So we just sort of have to like come out swinging, you know?
Yeah, Jersey is a bit of a punching bag, but me and Tim are from Florida. So, I mean, we
well,
get
that's where everyone from Jersey goes.
Yeah. So when you were growing up in Jersey, who are some of the bands that like inspired you and made you want to be a musician?
So I was in high school in like 2005 to 2008 and or 2004 to 2008. That lines up a little better. So that whole like MySpace scene back then was really my thing, you know, like Under Oath, Chiodos, shit like that. MCR,
totally.
obviously
Yeah.
I love MCR. And my favorite band is they're like still my favorite band to this day. They're called Scary Kids, Scaring Kids. I don't know if you've
I remember seeing them at Warped Tour.
Yeah, they're sick. Like they're so cool. And I mean, I feel like if you listen to them now, you might just be like, oh, this is kind of like by the numbers, like post-hardcore band. But you got to remember, it was like back then, you know? So it was all like fresh and exciting. They came out with a new album a couple years ago. It's pretty interesting. It's just like there's different singers on every song because their original lead singer died a few years back. So they came back with this new album with different singers on every song. And it's really cool. It's like an updated sound, but it still sounds like them. If they watch this, I'm totally down to do a song. Just, you know, just saying. But yeah, all those kind of bands. And then I really love Bright Eyes.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, like I'm sure it doesn't really come across on the music that I've released, but like when I was a kid, all I was doing was like solo acoustic music, where it was just like me and my acoustic guitar, and I would just like try to do these shitty knockoffs of Bright Eyes songs, essentially.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Because that dude is just, Conor Oberst is like the best lyricist I've ever heard. And so that really made me want to start writing. I like to think I have like a very eclectic taste in music, but like when it comes down to what I was listening to back when I was growing up, it's really like by the numbers, that whole scene.
Yeah, no. And there's nothing wrong with that. That scene was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still listening to it to this day. So,
yeah.
You know,
in the last episode, we had Aaron from Intervals, and we were talking about the MySpace scene and how awesome it was. A lot of great bands came out of it.
To this day, I don't think I talk about this all the time. Like, I don't think there's been any platform as effective as MySpace for like discovering and breaking new musicians. Like, you can make the argument that TikTok is doing that now, but it's not the same as what MySpace was or like how it felt, because you could like add someone's song to your profile. Like, you'd go on your friend's MySpace page and there'd be a song on their profile from some band you'd never heard, and you'd go into there and then you'd look at that band, you'd be like, oh, this band is sick, and then you'd look at their like top 8 and then you start listening to those bands. Like, it was just this cool way to discover bands, you know?
It led to a spiral, man. I remember doing exactly what you just said.
Yeah, and to this day, I just don't think there's been anything like MySpace as far as music discovery goes. I remember so I'm also in another band called North Kingsley. And when we were first talking about releasing, I tried to convince Shavo. I was like, we should exclusively release our album on MySpace. It didn't really fly, but like I really wanted to do it, you know?
I was born in 2003. So the MySpace thing was like happening when I was like 4 or 5.
Yeah, when you were a toddler.
So like I like barely miss it. A lot of my favorite bands came out of that, like Modern Baseball and a lot of the
Modern Baseball's great.
Midwesty bands like that. So I listened to interviews with like Brendan Lukens from Modern Baseball, and he talks about blowing up, like their first album, Sports, blowing up on MySpace, and it makes me like wish I was there so bad.
Yeah,
it sounds like.
So you into mostly like or not mostly, but you're into a lot of like Midwest stuff?
Oh, for sure.
American football, like Hot Mulligan, shit like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah,
you just named 2 of the tops for him.
Yeah.
I mean, those are great bands. You know what I mean? I feel American football was like so ahead of their time. It's crazy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You owe American football a lot of respect. All of us do.
Absolutely.
Whether you know it or not. So how did you start out as a musician? Like, what was your first like thing you gravitated to?
So I started playing guitar when I was 13 or 14. I went to go see School of Rock, the Jack Black movie.
Hell yeah.
With my cousin, and I saw the movie and I was like, those kids look like they're having a lot of fun. Like, I couldn't even tell you what a guitar sounded like at that point in my life. Like, I just thought the movie was cool. I was like, oh, I'll be like that kid that plays guitar. Because then if you think about you're a kid and you like want to play music, you're just going to gravitate to guitar probably instinctually because it's like in pop culture, the cool thing, you know?
Yeah.
My uncle had recently taken guitar lessons from a guy, and he was like, oh, if you ever want to take lessons, like I know a guy. So I took them. Like I was just like, I would just hear music. I couldn't differentiate any instrument from one another. And I took lessons for like a year, and I would barely play outside of practice. You know, like I would go in practice for that hour, and then the guitar would like stay in the bag for the whole rest of the week. And then at some point something clicked. I don't really know what it was, but I just got so into it. I just couldn't stop. And I definitely wasn't singing at all back then. I had like such a shitty singing voice. Like I think I still do, but I just, you know, you kind of got to go for it.
That's what emo's all about.
Yeah,
you don't have to be a good singer.
Exactly. You know, that's the big thing about Bright Eyes. You know, he's just like the best. And he's just, you know, one of his best lines is, I could have been a famous singer if I had someone else's voice. You know, you just got to vibe with it. But yeah, anyway, to answer your, I was a little long-winded way to answer it, but I started playing guitar, and it all kind of spiraled from there.
Do you play any other instruments now?
Oh yeah. I do guitar, piano, drums.
That's what I was going to ask. On the EP, is that all you?
No, it's definitely not all me.
Okay.
So I have a lot of like guitar ideas. The EP I mostly did with a friend of mine named Nick. He lives in Greece. So we'll like send back and forth ideas and say like, maybe do this, maybe do that. The drums actually aren't real at all on the EP, which like I'm really proud of the fact that no one's ever really called that out or copped to that. You know what I mean? Like they sound as real as possible. So they're all programmed. I actually got Joey Sturgis to mix and master it. I don't know if you know who he is.
I have tons of Joey Sturgis plugins. I know exactly who he is.
Exactly. So like, because I was so into that like Rise Records scene back in high school and all that, like it was always a dream of mine to work with Joey Sturgis. So like when I had this EP worked out, I hit up Joey Sturgis because I was just like, fuck it. Like I got to try this, you know? And he got back to me and he agreed to do it. So he actually, all of the drums on that album are his like one shots and stuff. So they sound super clean and super cool.
Awesome, dude. Yeah. I was also really curious about that.
It kind of blows my mind. So did he like mix the album too?
Yeah, he mixed and mastered it. Actually, so the very first song, the title track, Heartbreak Feels Good in a Place Like This, he didn't mix and master that one. But all the other songs of the album, he mixed and mastered. And so his main thing, we had a pretty solid drum sound anyway. But when he started mixing and mastering it, he was like, I want to replace the drum. You know what I mean? Like, I want to replace all these drums. And he did. And they sound powerful, man. Like, they sound
they do.
super great. Because the thing a lot of people don't realize is, like, even when you go listen to his old records, it's like the Devil Wears Prada, like of Mice and Men records and stuff like that. Those drums aren't real either. You know what I mean? Like they get played and they get performed live, but they just get replaced with cleaner samples and cleaner sounds 9 times out of 10.
I mean, that's common to do that these days.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
I was wondering if we could talk about some of the music that you did before the EP.
Yeah, of course. So like I said earlier, I'm in another band called North Kingsley, and that's with Chavo from System of a Down and my friend Sorrow from the Apple Store. We met when I was working at the Apple Store anyway. And that's like a really experimental, kind of crazy, like a heavy hip hop kind of project, you know, which is kind of like the thing that I never expected myself to be doing in life, you know? So I live in LA now. I moved to LA when I was 18 years old, like fresh out of high school to do music. And I had never rapped before in my life, you know? Like, and even when I started rapping, it was just a joke. I had a joke rap group with a friend of mine. And sort of for some reason at the time, it was like the most successful thing I'd ever done, which was the weirdest feeling. You know what I mean? Just to have spent so much time making all this like really serious and really passionate music. And the thing that resonated with people was this like stupid, jokey rap group that I was in. And we would perform a lot of shows and, you know, play up and down the state and all around. And it felt so strange. It felt so weird. But through doing that, I spent so much time rapping that I feel like I at least got competent at it. You know? And at a certain point, I was like, if I took it seriously, it could be fun. So that's what me and my friend Sarah were doing for a while. And then we met Chavo at a studio we were working at, and all three of us linked up. And that's, you know, it was just born from there. And then again, I found myself in the place where like the most successful thing I ever did was me rapping. And it was just like, it was just the weirdest situation, you know? Like we have a song with like RZA from Wu-Tang Clan, and I'm just sort of like, my mind was blown. Like I was like, I started rapping as a joke. Like, and here I am like filming a music video with RZA from Wu-Tang Clan. Like
that is awesome.
That's like,
you know, like what is even happening right now? We have a full length coming out soon. That's also like, we've got Cypress Hill on there. We've got a track with Scott Storch. Like it's like hip hop legends on there, you know?
Okay. So that's still going.
Yeah, that's definitely still going. I don't have like a solid release date for the full length, but it's cool, man. Like it's super, super cool. We went in a few months back now to Studio 606, which is the Foo Fighters studio, and tracked all live drums for it.
That's awesome.
So contrary to what I was saying before, these actually are live recorded. These actually are live recorded drums on the upcoming North Kingsley record, which I'm super, super excited for people to hear. Yeah. But in the interim, it was fun to just sort of break out and do something. I think part of the reason why so badly I wanted to do a record like this EP is just that I found myself again in this position where, like I said, the most successful thing that I was doing was this rap project. And I would tell people like, no, like I am a singer though, you know? And I think I just sort of wanted to
do something more true to yourself.
Yeah, you know, so it was fun to dive into that creatively, and it's been fun that people are into it, you know?
Yeah. Well, that actually segues nicely into what I wanted to ask you next is like, where did this EP come from? And was there like a moment where you were like, this is what I want to make?
Yeah, so we were in the process for writing songs for the North Kingsley full length, and I was trying a lot of different stuff. I was, again, similar to what I just said, like, I just wanted to sing more. Like, I think I had, like, this weird complex about, I don't want to just be known as this rapper, you know, because it all started as a joke. And then, I don't know, I just felt like I could contribute more than just rapping. So I was doing a lot of North Kingsley songs where I would sing on them. And there are some clips online of that, and they sound really cool. There's a lot more singing on the full length. But these songs, specifically the tracks 2 through 5 on the EP, were all started out sort of as demos of something that I was going to give to the North Kingsley project. But the more that I did them and the more that I worked on them, it became clear that it was sort of so far out of left field from anything that NK would actually have on an album, or that NK fans would necessarily like be into, that I just sort of was like, all right, well, this is kind of way far out of that world, but I really like doing it and I really like the way that it sounds. So I'm just going to try to take this as far as I can. So you can sort of hear in those songs, at least I think, in kind of how heavy they are and like where they are lyrically, that at some point they could have been North Kingsley songs. They wouldn't have sounded anything like they do. Like if they came, it would have been totally changed and it would have sounded a lot different. There's the beginning of an idea there for them. But as far as like the title track on the EP and then the other couple of songs that I've released since then, those I've gone into fully knowing that they were just going to be like my own thing. So they don't even sound anything close to anything North Kingsley could come out with. Yeah. But yeah, to answer your question, it was just it sort of happened organically with what I was working on at the time for North Kingsley. And it just sort of, I think I just took things too far and was like, this just kind of has to be its own separate thing, you know? Yeah.
How has that affected like your writing process? Did you find like writing the EP easy after, you know, doing the hip hop stuff for so long, or did it feel a little weird?
No, it felt great because I felt like I had so much creative energy in this different direction. If that's the best way I can phrase it, is, you know, when you do something for so long, normally the process for North Kingsley was like, I would write all these vocals, and then we would take them in and we would write a bunch of music around it. And then the music would change what I wanted to do vocally. And it was just sort of this like big, long thing. So it would start off oftentimes with just me doing like, here's my concept for a song, or here's what I want to do lyrically. When I was writing this EP and it was such a different energy, it was so much easier for me to do because it was just like, I feel like it was like an untapped well of creativity, if that's the best way. Like I just had a lot more to give in that scenario because it's not necessarily something that I had been doing for years, you know?
Okay. Yeah, totally.
Another thing I want to talk about, I think it's track 2 is Emergency, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have Kellen Quinn from Sleeping with Sirens, is that it?
Yeah.
I always get some of those bands mixed up sometimes. I had to make sure. So how did that relationship sort of start? Where did that come from?
I just noticed that he was doing features. Like I found his Spotify and I was like, he's doing a lot of features. Like obviously he's open to it, you know? And sort of similar to the Joey Sturgis thing, like I was like, I just got to find out how to get in touch with him. We have the same publicist and all that. So I just kind of sent like a cold email with a demo for the song. And I was like, hey man, like this is what I'm working on. If you're interested in it, I'd love to work with you. He loved the song and he sent me back like so much more. I was only like, hey, maybe just get in this one section. And he did so much on the song.
Oh, that's dope.
And it was super exciting. We have another song too that I'll probably release in like a month or two. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's a great dude, and we talk fairly often. And he's always super responsive, and it's super exciting because again, like this EP to me was just doing all this Myspace style music and like things that I wanted to do. So like obviously I love Sleeping with Sirens from back then, and it was just really cool to be able to have them on there. You know?
Yeah, totally. I was curious about all the song titles. I want to address one specifically first.
Okay.
Track 4.
I knew it. I knew it was coming.
So tell me if I'm pronouncing it right. 6hostowns.org/B.
So it's Ghost Towns. Ghosttowns.org.
Oh, okay.
/B. So all the song titles are just like internet references in my mind. Like
totally.
Emergency I axed this at the last minute, but Emergency used to be called like XX Emergency XX. Just as like a
I think you should have kept it.
Yeah, I don't know why I just axed it at the last minute. I was like, I don't know, that's a little crazy. But yeah, they're all internet references, right? So like that would have been like an old hardcore MySpace thing.
Oh, we looked it up.
Nice.
Have you looked it up?
Oh, the website?
Of that
like,
song
have you
title,
typed in that
4.
URL?
Have you typed that into the internet yet?
So I think I did. I don't think it's actually a website, is it?
Dude,
it is.
You haven't seen it?
No way. What is it?
Dude, it's hilarious.
It's a MySpace page for a cat.
No. You're kidding me. Is it for real?
It's a completely blank MySpace page, but it has a picture of a cat wearing a chef's hat. This is Piper above it. And it says, welcome to my MySpace, updating soon.
Hold up.
Here.
I'm going to do this right now. This is breaking news to me. Let me look this up, but then I'll tell you what it actually.
How did you not know? That's crazy.
No, I really didn't know, because it used to just be ghost.org/B was the name of it, and then I don't know, it worked better for the lyrics. Holy shit, this is a real website.
Isn't that awesome?
That's crazy.
We totally thought it was intentional. No, it was
I could have sworn that was you
reference.
or like someone on your marketing team or something.
Part of me wonders if like someone got that website after hearing this song, because I don't know. I never looked it up. I should have looked it up. But no, anyway, because all of the songs are internet references, that's just a 4chan reference.
Okay.
It's just 4chan.org/B is that like crazy 4chan board.
Yeah.
So like I just and no one's ever. I've seen articles about it, and they're like, I don't understand the title. Like I really thought people would get it at least, but like yeah, it's a 4chan reference, which is like kind of weird.
That's so funny though. I genuinely thought like you had a cat named Piper.
No. I have a dog named Oliver. He's pretty awesome, but no, that's fucking crazy. There's no way. I feel like someone had to get that afterwards. That's wild, man. I'm sorry. I'm just looking at it now.
No, dude, you're good.
With a chef's hat. 4 years old. Wow.
That's so funny.
That's sick.
All right. Yeah, no, the song titles are hilarious though.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Is there any plan to take this EP to a live show?
Oh, yeah. I would love to play live, or I would love to tour probably closer to the end of the year. So I'm putting out songs like every couple weeks throughout the year. And I sort of just want to see what's resonating with people as far as like putting together a live set. But there's talks of, I'm looking into doing a show in May, just as far as like, I need to make sure that everything's in line for that. But I think early May, I have a show lined up. So hopefully that goes through, and we'll just see how it goes. But yeah, like I love to perform, and I would love to just like jump on a tour end of the year or early next year.
Rad.
Completely off topic.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Turtles movie?
Oh yeah, we were talking about Turtles off the podcast.
Yeah. This is so easy. I feel like there's only one right answer to this. It's the 1990 original Turtles movie.
I mean, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard anybody say anything else if you ask them that question? I don't feel like I have.
I think you can make an argument for Secret of the Ooze, depending on your preference, right? Like Secret of the Ooze is a lot more like the cartoon and a lot more cartoony. And you know what? The one that just came out is pretty damn good. Mutant Mayhem is pretty damn good movie.
The one Seth Rogen directed and everything?
Yeah, exactly.
I heard it was good.
It's pretty great. It's a good time. So I could see people like, especially newer Turtles fans being like, that's the best one. But yeah, I mean, the only answer is the 1990 live action one. Like it's such a great blend of the like dark tone of the original Turtles comics, plus just sort of like the zany nature of it. And Casey Jones is so badass in it, you know?
That was always one of my favorite characters growing up, Casey Jones.
Oh, he's the man. He's absolutely the man. Yeah, I could talk Turtles forever, man. I'm a big Turtles fan. This whole room is filled with Turtle shit.
Do you have anything else, Rumble?
Nah, man, I'm sorry. I never got on the Turtle train.
Never?
No. As a very young kid, me and my first ever best friend, Dominic, we went to the local arcade this one day, and we did set the high score on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles machine.
That's awesome.
That is most of my experience with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I have the Ninja Turtles arcade game downstairs in my living room.
That is awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah. That's like an all-time great. I've got that one and the Simpsons one downstairs.
That's so cool.
Is it the bowling one? Simpsons Bowling?
So it's the arcade 1-up released them. So the bowling one's in there. It's the Simpsons like beat 'em up game, and then also the bowling one. So it's got
dope.
Nice. Yeah.
Awesome.
So they're not like the OG one, like huge arcade machines. They're like pretty good size, but you get them for like, I think they're like $500-600. You get them from Arcade 1-Up, and you just set them. They're like IKEA furniture that you set up in your living room, you know. Or I guess you don't have to do it in your living room. That's what I'm doing now.
Yeah, right on.
Check out my Spotify. Everything's under Ray Hawthorne. I got new songs coming out every week. If you like old school scene shit from Myspace, I'll probably do at least something that'll pique your interest, you know. I have a little more Midwesty stuff coming out soon too, so get excited for that. Rumble.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, dude, it was great meeting you. It was great talking to you.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. See you guys.
Hey, Rumble.
Yeah, did you see that new Quiet on Set docu-series, I guess?
I did.
Yeah, that was upsetting.
Heartbreaking for sure.
Super, super heartbreaking. For me, like growing up with Nickelodeon in the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s, like watching shows like Drake and Josh and iCarly, that was the worst of it for me. Because I was like, I always felt so close to those characters. Like Drake Bell was so cool to me. He like played guitar and stuff, and I wanted to do that.
I remember watching most of the shows outside of Henry Danger, but then my kids watched that. So like just all of it.
Yeah, man. I wasn't around in the 90s for all that, but or the Amanda show for that matter. I don't remember either of those. But hearing, especially Amanda, hearing her story was pretty rough. But definitely like the Drake stuff was probably the worst thing for me. What about you? What stuck out most to you?
The Drake Bell thing, that just caught me off guard. I was just watching, thinking it was talking about stuff I've kind of already heard about Dan Schneider and the stuff that happened, because, stuff already has been talked about.
Oh, yeah. Like, we knew he was a creep.
I knew nothing about that.
But, yeah, I didn't know. Like, it's crazy. Like, Dan Schneider is as creepy as he is, yet he's not even nearly the worst person there. That's wild.
And then they talk about his obsession with feet and all this stuff, but when you really look back, like Nickelodeon literally had feet as its logo for a period of time.
Totally, yeah. It's wild how much different it seemed when you were younger.
How did we make this okay back then?
Well, we were kids, I guess. We didn't think we thought feet were funny. But yeah, no, looking back, It's super creepy.
Did we think feet were funny, or were we told feet were funny?
I guess we were told feet were funny because I specifically like have an episode of iCarly ingrained in my head where Carly and Sam draw like little faces on the bottoms of their toes, and looking back, that's super weird. But I thought it was hilarious when I was a kid. But oh man, I don't like thinking about it now. It's definitely weird to think about. Like, why did it seem so much more acceptable back then?
And I'm very interested to see what comes of episode 5.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot they were doing that. I heard it was going to be a lot more interviews with the stars, like a lot more focused on that. We'll maybe see. I'm sure we'll see Drake Bell come back for episode 5. I'm interested to see if they get some of the stars that they didn't get now that the documentary is out and it's clearly really popular. I'm curious to see if Josh will show up, if Miranda Cosgrove will show up. I'm wondering if maybe even Amanda Bynes will show up. I mean, if anyone has something to say about Nickelodeon mistreating her and treating her like trash, it's Amanda Bynes. So I don't know. We'll see, but I'm sure it'll be just as, if not more, gut-wrenching than the first 4 episodes.
Yeah. And then you told me that Drake Bell released a new music video this.
Yeah. I can't remember if it was the same day or a couple days later, but it was really close. Called I Kind of Relate. Talking about all the stuff he went through after Nickelodeon. Or, well, it starts with like his struggles when he was with Nickelodeon. Then afterward, he got the DUI. He had all those legal issues. And he figured, like now that everybody knows his story, it's time for him to explain, what's been going on for the past several years.
The song's very Beatle-esque.
Super Beatles, yeah. In the best way. Like, I'm pretty vocal about the fact that I'm not like the biggest Beatles fan in the world, but they wrote good music. And Drake Bell's song is definitely takes a lot of inspiration from the Beatles, which in a good way.
On a lighter note, I've been watching X-Men 97 and it's really cool, dude.
Yeah? Tell me about that.
If you ever watched the cartoon in the 90s, which ended in 97, hence why it's called X-Men 97, like I did, it very much is different than a lot of the movies they made. The cartoon hits home to the comic books and it had really huge following, and they're doing it again. They're doing a great job at it. And I have a feeling this might actually lead up into some of the movies because I'm noticing Marvel's taking their animation and starting to cross over the storylines into real life MCU. So that'll be cool to see.
What I'm wondering about superhero movies, and I've been wondering this for years, is when are we going to get another Howard the Duck movie?
I don't think that's ever going to happen.
And I think it should happen, and let me tell you why.
He was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
He was in Guardians of the Galaxy. He was also, for like 3 frames, he was technically in Endgame.
But you want to see him in action. I mean,
I want to see a Howard the Duck movie, and I understand why the first one didn't do well. It was too childish for adults, but it was way too adult for kids. But
yep.
That's a perfect market right now. Like, think about a movie like Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Okay.
That movie came out in 2010. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It came out in 2010.
I love it. Great movie.
I was never going to see that in theaters. In 2010, I was way too young to go see Scott Pilgrim in theaters. But I love it now because that's my age group sense of humor. Scott Pilgrim was ahead of its time. People back then, a lot of them didn't get it, and it flopped in the box office, which is the same reason Howard the Duck flopped. It was too adult for kids, but too childish for adults. If Scott Pilgrim just got the cartoon adaptation not long ago, and another great thing that everybody should watch. It was fantastic. If there's ever a time to like try to pull in on silly adult topics, now's the time. I want a Howard the Duck movie. That's my case.
You should write Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
And tell him, hey, Marvel, it's time to dust this one off.
I'll write the script. I'll take care of the cast. I'll do it. I'll do whatever it takes. Make the Howard the Duck movie happen. But I digress. I think now it's time for the discovery. We have on today's episode a Michigan-based emo band called Motion Sick. Let's hear from them.
All right, what's up, guys? Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having us.
So, if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
I'm Sam. I play vocals and guitar.
I'm Sam. I play bass.
I'm Ben. I play the drums.
And you guys are?
We're Motion Sick.
Hell yeah. Where are you guys from?
From West Michigan. We're kind of scattered all over West Michigan. Got a little in Muskegon, little Berry County, and some Kalamazoo.
So I first found you guys on TikTok. I don't know whose video I saw, but I just saw this video of somebody like taking a video of like through the window of a car, like trees going by. And it was just like, God, I fucking love this song. And it was I Kicked Your Ass at Uno.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely me.
Oh, okay. I gotta say, like I scrolled past a lot of small artists on TikTok, and that one did catch my attention. I really love that song.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
But since then, when we hit you up for this podcast, I looked at your Spotify page and you had like several thousand more listeners than when I first saw you. And that must have happened very quickly. I was wondering if you wanted to talk about that.
It definitely happened a little bit out of the blue. It happened at a good time too, because, you know, we're releasing an album soon. We're playing Excellency Fest at the end of the summer. TikTok just had a few trends that I just hopped on with our song, Don't Tell Me I'm a Joke. And they just got tens of thousands or maybe even over 100,000 views. And people just really like that song.
Awesome. It's such a lucrative way to get yourself out there.
No, it really is.
And good on you guys. But I'm curious. I want to hear about like how did Motion Sick come about?
Yeah, well, it kind of started as like my solo project. Like I was looking for something to do kind of post COVID, I don't know, 2022. And I kind of just spent all of that year just trying to find like-minded people to play with in a band. And it kind of just all aligned at one point where we met Ben through another band.
Yeah. The Instagram algorithm found me. I found them through a ad that he had posted looking for a bass player. I just reached out. I was, living in Grand Rapids at the time. So it was just like a 45-minute drive. Played with them a couple times. They were nice to me. So yeah, it all fell into place.
Yeah.
Awesome. As far as like the music you've put out, how did all of that like I said, when I first found you guys, it was I Kicked Your Ass at Uno, which is on the EP released last year, right?
In 2022.
2022. Okay. My mistake. Tell us about that. Like, had you guys already joined the band at that point?
Sam hadn't joined the band. Where Strangers Once Slept, that EP was going to come out. Like Sam had just
I remember
joined the band. Like the EP was already recorded and like we were rolling it out. And then that's when we met Sam. But for the EP that we released in 2023, we'd met Ben playing shows with our old drummer. And we met Ben and Michael, our other guitarist, through playing those shows. And they really liked us. We became really good friends. Now Ben's our drummer.
Nice. So you talked about a festival that you have coming up.
Excellency.
Yeah, Excellency Fest.
That's right. Tell us about that.
Oh, man. It's incredible. It's an incredible thing.
It's an exciting opportunity, to say the least.
Yeah. Free Throw and Prince Daddy.
Oh, nice.
The two headliners. But I want to say there's like 30 bands on it.
Yeah, something like that.
I swear, like the best bands in the genre really, I guess most of the Midwest.
Like I know Summer Brews is on that bill, which they're from Indiana. I'm trying to remember everyone.
Casper Fight Scene.
Yep.
They're another Michigan band. They're out of Marquette. Let's see. Yeah. Riley, Trash.
Yep. Trash is on. Did you pull it up?
Yeah, he got it.
Carpool.
Yep. They're from New York.
Shit.
They're really good.
Heart to Gold and Rarity, which I used to listen to Rarity in high school, so that's kind of cool. And Retirement Parties coming out of retirement.
Carly Cosgrove.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just absolutely stacked. Like just the best bands in the scene possible, just all compiled into one beautiful air-conditioned venue.
Yeah, this year it's air conditioned.
It's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, thank God. We live down in Florida. So we are incredibly
August, man.
Yeah, we are incredibly thankful for air conditioning down here.
Yeah.
We don't even get basement shows, dude. You guys are lucky.
Yeah, you don't have basements.
There's no basements, dude.
Yeah.
Filled with water and alligators.
You can't really have a show in the attic. So what's the West Michigan DIY scene like?
Oh man.
There's like Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo. Like they're within like a 45-minute drive of each other, but they're kind of separate in a way. Grand Rapids is more like
there's a lot of hardcore kids here.
Yeah, a lot of hardcore or like alternative rock, I guess you'd call it.
Alt rock, shoegaze, hardcore, heavy music is pretty popular up here.
Kalamazoo is more like there's a lot of Midwest emo
and R&B right now.
Yeah,
like R&B is going kind of crazy in the local scene, which I think is kind of cool.
But like the big difference between like Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo is Grand Rapids, it's mostly like venue based. Like you got to know people to, whereas like Kalamazoo, it's like all house shows. Yeah, it's all basements, it's all living rooms or kitchens or whatever. There was one that was just a kitchen, wasn't it? Yeah.
Rest in peace, the Dish Pit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It was called was it called the Dish Pit?
It was called the Dish Pit. I don't think they had very many shows.
That's the coolest thing I've heard.
I know. And they great string lights and everything. It was just the floor couldn't really carry that many people.
That is kind
people
of a
would show up to that.
Man, there's just not that many house shows around where me and Tim are. It's not like the part of Florida where it's like parties and shit.
Sure.
It's like old hillbillies.
Yep. Yeah.
That'll like call the cops on you. Man. So what else do you have coming up in the near future?
We have a tour in May, the first week of May. We're kind of just making our way from Michigan to Indiana, Ohio, and
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Dope.
And so that's going to be cool. We have some more shows over the summer that are out of state. A couple in Wisconsin, we at least got one in Chicago.
We're doing like a cool Fort Wayne show where they're like recording the entire set.
But then towards the end of the summer, we're going to release our new album, which is first single is going to roll out here pretty soon. And after that, we're going to probably tour for that too. That we're kind of settling on those plans right now, trying to get ahead of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say you should come to Florida if you tour.
For sure.
Dude, we want to. We've gotten asked with this tour that we announced. You know, you mentioned like the increased monthly listeners, and obviously that comes with more followers, more people from around the state or from around the country, like listening to your music. We've gotten so many requests to play Florida and funny enough, like Georgia and North Carolina.
Oh, well, I mean,
I don't really know why.
All three of those are pretty.
You can play in an East Coast tour.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there are a lot of emo kids down here. Dude, if you ever need a show in Florida, hit me up. I'm in like 5 bands down here.
Yeah. Definitely worth thinking about.
So yeah, what can you tell us about the upcoming album?
It's definitely a little more mature than everything we have out pretty much.
It's a lot faster.
Yeah. Heavier hitting.
It's I think mature is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
You know, I do all the lyrics, and like from my point of view, it's kind of like a progression from, you know, Falling Behind was very like down, and like in the lyrics in a way were just very like, I don't want to say depressing, but that's pretty much what they were.
Yeah.
But the new album is like, sure, like there's its moments where it's like pretty sad and again, depressing. There are more sparks of hope and more.
It's a big accepting of what life has given you.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
All right. Hell yeah, I like that. Any stuff you want to plug?
Obviously, our TikTok and our Instagram are those two places, especially Instagram, is like the best way for you to see like when we're gonna, you know, upload or we're gonna post new music, post our shows, post our tours. Instagram does that way better than TikTok, in my opinion. So if you want to know what the band's up to, Instagram's the place.
Motion Sick MI on just about every platform.
And then all of our music is on Spotify and Apple Music, all the major streaming platforms, just Motion Sick.
Yep.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
And y'all have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
Now here's 4 Steps Back, 2 Steps Forward by Motion Sick.
When I was a kid, I thought my life would end up different. Grow up, have a family, get a job that makes a difference. I was fucking wrong! At 21, I'm inconsistent. Progress never loved me. I'll never love it back.
love that band, man. That song was great. I'm so glad I found those guys.
On the TikToks.
Yeah, on the TikTok, bro. That's a great place. I love finding new artists on there. Anyway, I think it's time for DIY or Die. We're going to talk to our good friend Will Birdwell today about how to build a brand with your band. Let's check it out.
Hey, what's going on? My name is Will with the Raven Makerspace, and we're going to talk today about your band as a brand. And what I mean by that is, I'm not talking about bands that are, just casual and having fun. You're just getting together with your buddies and jamming. I'm talking about bands that are looking to go into that professional environment. They're trying to climb the ladder and try to achieve some sort of commercial success, maybe some monetary gain on their music and their performances. So let's talk about how you can do that today. And the best way I could do that is let's build an imaginary band together, all right? So obviously, Tim, you and I, we know that who are big Star Wars fans. So let's just go with something silly and fun and real easy. We're going to call our band Red 5, okay? And now that we've got a band name, let's talk a little bit about like maybe a story or something that, some sort of theme that obviously goes with the band. I mean, we know it's Star Wars related, right? But it doesn't have to be so on the nose, but it's something that your fans, your future fans are going to want to connect with, right? So from the beginning, you need to establish the narrative that goes with your product, right? And that's why I say this really is in the realm of if you're looking to achieve commercial success with your music, because this is a very different mindset than approaching your music for fun, like a hobby, right? Like a business and a hobby are two very different things. So if you're looking to make this have some sort of trajectory, you're gonna have to think about what you're doing very differently. So let's talk about that theme, right? And like I said, it doesn't have to be so on the nose today. It's like, oh yeah, we're a Star Wars themed band. Why don't we say it's something more like we're nerds who like hardcore and, we get beat up a lot. So it's all about sticking with your nerdy buddies, right? Cool, boom. So now, something that I've found that really successful bands do, especially ones that seem to just pop out of nowhere and all of a sudden they have an enormous fan base, is they give their fans an identity, right? We've got, the Deadheads, for example, or, Grateful Dead generation. We've got, the Beyonce and the Swifties, right? We have those rabid fan bases that we know have a sort of cultural identity to them. So if you can, establish that identity for your fans up front, right? So maybe as simple as it is, right? If our band's going to be called Red 5, let's just call them the Squad or the Squadron, right? What up, Squadron? Or my wingmates. Maybe that's even more fun, right? Like, my wingmates. So give your fans an identity, right? And that's going to immediately put them on this journey with you. And that's really another important point, is that in our current age and how music works, a lot of fans consume music and entertainment very differently, right? Now they're more invested in this journey that you're on, this process of how you came to where you are now. And we see that through like TikTok and YouTube and these vlogs and all that kind of stuff. So take them along with you on your journey, right? People are buying into other people. I said this last podcast that we did, when someone is choosing to part with their money or their time or their effort, right? There's an implied trust that needs to be there. Yeah, we talked about that trust, but people are buying into people, right? So our hardcore band could be the most slamming hardcore band and whatever. Everybody is really down with it, but like it's no big deal. It's just like everybody else, yeah? But what's going to make them remember us besides like the obvious, a good performance and, good songs? That should be a given. But what's going to make them remember us is that culture, that vibe, that theme that seems to go with the band, something that makes them stick out a little bit more than everybody else, right? So they want to know your story. They want to know about you. And you need to be something that's bold and a little bit more than just what everyone else is doing. I'm not saying you need to be someone else. I'm saying be you to your 100%, right? You are an original and there's no one else like you, even if you had a twin, because ultimately you are you and your experiences are your experiences. So be that 100% and be bold about who you are. And you're going to find that people are going to gravitate towards that, right? It's almost like that main character kind of syndrome a little bit. But it is important when you're trying to lead a brand to be somewhat polarizing. You are asking people to follow along, right? Well, is a good leader hard to find? No, a good leader sticks out and everybody knows where they're at. So if you want to be, as a band, leading the pack, leading the trend, growing a following because you're doing something new and exciting that's, welcoming to their ears, then you're going to have to get bold, okay? The next thing I want to talk about is being on brand as a whole. So when we say be on brand, what do I mean by that, right? Well, if Red 5 is our nerdy hardcore band, and I talked about this last time in the other podcast as well, but being on brand meaning, hey, so we're going to talk about nerdy stuff, we're going to talk about hardcore stuff, but like kind of avoid some of the other stuff. You know what I mean? Like that can end up being just noise in that whole social media and everything else. And quite honestly, it confuses your audience too, right? If your audience is coming to you for a certain sort of validation, and for us, for Red 5, we'll say their validation is that, they get picked on because, they like Star Wars and they're feeling nerdy and all that. But then they also want to just like Hulk out and stomp the world. So be on brand, okay? Don't really try to deviate too much from what it is that is your band's brand. Now, if your band is going through a change, that's a whole different ball of wax. And there is a very nuanced kind of way to roll out course corrections, we'll say, in terms of where you'd like your band to go in the future as you progress. But this is very different than how to establish your brand. And it's very easy to kind of like jump ahead of steps, maybe, and you're like, oh man, this isn't working and I want to switch gears. And you can, absolutely, but it takes planning and it takes time to roll that out in a way that's then going to be received better than your first attempt. Another way that you can build a brand, of course, is visibility, right? So think about themed merch, right? Think themed events even, if there's a possible way to tie it in. Maybe there is a nonprofit or a charity or something similar that you can attach yourselves to. Maybe you can help them out in some sort of way and collaborate, which is another thing I'm going to talk about very shortly. But theming your merch and your events kind of all goes on in that branding sense of everything should have some kind of congruency, right? When you think about big products in the world and when they get rolled out, like it just seems like you just get inundated with it everywhere, right? We want to do the same thing on a micro scale with our band when we're first starting out. So, if Red 5 is coming out with an EP, we'll say, then I want to make sure like I drop merch that actually goes with that album and all that kind of, everything else that would need to go with it. If I want to drop a merch package, I would do a t-shirt maybe that has like an X-Wing on it. And then, the EP, maybe we use the similar art, right? Maybe we have some branding on our website and our social media that all is the same color scheme, right? Brand kits are a thing in the marketing world. So think about your color choices even. The band is called Red 5, so we're going to have red in our name, right? You think about things like that. Those choices, even down to like your merch choices in terms of your color palettes, all of that kind of plays into the psyche of what your audience is thinking about. So just take a little time to focus in on like what is it that you're trying to present, whether it's merch, whether it's music, whether it's a whole release package, even your music video. All these things really should kind of ping pong off of each other and always send your listener back to something else of yours. That's a really good way to kind of like tie it all back together and do that even in this conversation is, you want to have everything reference itself, right? Feel almost like once you got them enjoying your content, like it should be like an echo chamber of sending them to check out more stuff that they're going to enjoy of yours. So with that being said, don't be afraid of having some sort of gimmick or some sort of sound, right? A lot of people artistically will say, oh, gimmicks are stupid. Okay, yeah, but when there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of artists, right? And we all have the ability these days to make beautiful sounding work, including like what I'm doing right here at the Makerspace right now. I'm just in the vocal booth in a closet, However, we're getting fantastic sound because the tools are out there these days. So if the tools are out there and everybody can do it, you need to do it that much more So don't be afraid of a gimmick. A gimmick is going to help you stand out. Some sort of signature sound is going to help you stand out. Maybe it's just a special riff that you like and you found a way to incorporate it throughout your material. The point is, there's a whole bunch of people shouting, right? How are you going to rise above that sea of noise? You need to find your way. Get your band visible. A lot of brands, and I am going back and forth between band and brand because I want you to understand that they are very similar. And quite honestly, for this conversation, they're synonymous. But get your band visible. How do we do that? Well, who can we look to on the internet that has different following groups and things? I know we don't necessarily love the concept of influencers, but some of them can be very, very helpful for you. There are all sorts of React video channels and nuanced content that is tailored for genre-specific stuff, and you can reach out to these people directly, and honestly, most of the time, they just want a piece of merch or something. But what's going to help you is that you're going to see your content be thrown a much wider audience than if you just did some boosted ad. Because remember, people are buying people, right? And if you follow somebody, you like their content, whatever, and they personally recommend something to you, you're probably going to go check it out, right? So, for example, Red 5, right? We're our hardcore band. And of course, I'm a big, big fan on YouTube of Hardcore Keem. I think he's hysterical. I've been following him for a while. So, of course, when Red 5 is ready to release a single, we're going to send it over to Hardcore Keem. And his React video hopefully will get people going, dang, who is this band? I want to check them out. And there are lots of opportunities like that for a variety of different disciplines and genres. So I would encourage you to check those out for your band. What's cool about some of them is that actually a pipeline exists. You can pay a fee, and you really should be okay with that fact that it is a fee because this is a service that people are doing and there is labor involved in it. But you pay a fee, and they will actually set you up a release platform and a pipeline to where your music comes out. It gets featured on certain channels. It gets a lot of visibility. It gets social media posts. And I think that this concept is very smart because it takes the kind of resources that a record label would have and it puts them directly into the hands of the artist on that like per pay basis. And a lot of people go, oh, isn't that pay to play? And yes and no, but I mean, that's the same as paying for any other service, right? If I paid for somebody to cut my lawn or to groom my beard or to wash my car, then I would want to pay for a service for somebody to help me market my music. But there are these cool pipelines that are out there that can very much immediately establish a brand, especially if you launch it at the same time as a cute little merch store like on Big Cartel or something, or Bandcamp. And I want to put it out there that you absolutely should have web stores for all your merch if you don't have it yet. They're very easy to set up. Bandcamp, Big Cartel are like the top two off the top of my head. I think also Merch Now is another one if they still exist. You want to be visible. Okay, whatever you do to accomplish that, whether it's one of these pipelines, whether it's your friends, whether you do something crazy like buy a billboard on the side of a highway, go for it. But that being said, be bold, be very meticulous about where you throw your resources. And not all these resources have to be paid resources. There are still many, many things out there that are free and available to use to get your music visible and to get your merch and other product visible, okay? But it is important that you do that. Now, to kind of bring it to a close, I'm going to say one last little bit, all right? With all this visibility, and just to quote Spider-Man, right? With great power comes great responsibility. So, with all this visibility will come visibility. So, we have a lot of prying eyes on the internet, and everybody is always waiting for you as a brand to slip up. I don't know why, but negativity, it just is in our human nature. So I will encourage you, if you're building your band as a brand, be very careful about what you put on social media, okay? I would encourage you that more often than not, your post should be in the positive light as opposed to the negative light. You always catch more flies with honey. But just be very careful. Now, I'm not saying you need to censor yourself or whatever. Just understand that everything that you put out into the world has a consequence, whether it's a positive or a negative one, right? And your brand very much is like that petri dish magnified reflection of that. So if you do something on the internet or out in the world, your brand and your band will very much faster reflect the consequences of that, positive or negative, depending on what happened versus your personal experiences. So just be careful about how you represent yourself, because once you establish a band, and certainly once you establish a brand, a lot of people will attach your name to that art and that product. And certainly you don't want all your hard work to go down the drain for something that maybe got misinterpreted or the wrong perspective, or, comments flew out of control. All I'm saying is just be mindful and be careful and be protective of the brand and the band that you are building. And lastly, of course, I'm always a big fan of collaboration. Make sure that you will find all sorts of people to collaborate with, tag and cross-post everywhere. And building your band and your brand is that is the absolute fastest way, because that is how word of mouth spreads like wildfire. And of course, I would encourage that if you are looking to do any of these fun things, we can help you do all those stuff at the Raven Makerspace, which is where I'm at right now. We have the recording studio, we have rehearsal space, we have event space. All of it is fairly low cost. We're really excited to help bands get out there and do their thing more successfully. And I'm certainly excited to be here on Rumble versus the Airwaves. And we'll be back with more tips on how to keep DIY alive.
Well, all right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of Rumble versus the Airwaves. Don't forget, you can check us out on all social medias at rumblevs.theairwaves.
Also on www.thenewfury.com. We also have stickers. If you want to email us at rumbleversustheairwaves@gmail.com, we will mail some to you.
And who do you want to hear from next? Reach out and let us know.
Tell us. Have a good one.
Thanks.